Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another quick Guild Ball match report. Rematching against my opponent from the previous game. I'm playing Falcons again against Ratcatcher's Guild this time. I've got the offside trap again. Both sevens, seize the initiative and lone striker. Stick to the plan, I think, and grudge match. So a pretty strong hand here. Terrain is as previous: fast ground, obstacle, obstacle, rough ground, barrier. I won the roll again and decided this time I'd like to kick, so I've got Matagi, Frilsey with the ball, Davana, Rundas, Minerva and Icaros. Ratcatchers have deployed Skulk, Pelage, Piper, Scourge, the rat thing, Squeak is it, and Miasma. Frilsey kicks, the kick is good. First of all it scatters like 6-6, so I re-roll and it scatters much more conservatively, which is nice. I allocate 3 to Matagi for a sprint and a harrier, 1 to Frilsey just to walk and maybe snare something, 5 to Davana, 2 to Rundas, 2 to Minerva and nothing to Icarus. Not quite sure what the allocation of the rats has been, but there's a big stack on Piper and there's some on pretty much everyone else. The rats collect the ball with Pelage, which I thought was a great idea, and pass back successfully to Piper, I think it was. Pelage was able to sprint back into cover. I like her collecting against range teams like Falconers or Hunters, and maybe Engineers, as you can't generate momentum off her. So I thought that was nicely done. It gets a bit complicated here, and apologies for the blurry photo. I burn an activation with Icarus. Skulk just moves up. I then sprint Matagi round to stand within cover and put a Harrier on him. This spooks my opponent into enacting his goal run. And in my opinion, I would have waited a few more activations at least, as it would be rather a waste of Davana's influence for me to go for him now. And I don't think there's really much I can do to him. But in any case, Piper goes. He passes to what the frick is his name? Skulk, and misses the kick. The ball scatters out over here somewhere, which is fine. So then Piper goes up, collects the ball, passes again to Skulk, this time successfully dodging him up and forwards. He then uses Reverie on Skulk to make him sprint up and take a shot, which he knocks home, making the game, the score 4-0 to the Ratcatchers already. Wow. Barring some dice whiffing, that's really hard to stop them from getting that first turn goal. I guess if I'd knocked down Skulk with the Harrier, that would have made it more difficult. But yeah, pretty impressive. And then Skulk runs the length back up to the mid-pitch. And I kick the ball out onto Icarus. So I begin a bit of setup with Minerva doing I Spy, knockdown Harrier, being careful to stay out of what I think is Scourge's threat range. Miasma just runs out. Rundas walks up and manages to hit the end of his playbook, doing the 2 damage Harrier non-momentously, and then a 2 momentous push dodge. Frilsey walks up to Skulk and hits him for a snare for the lulz. And Scourge and Squeak have moved up. Scourge, no fear of the Harrier there. Bit bunching up, I'm happy to see. And Squeak comes with him. And so Davana goes, utterly pulverizes Skulk into the ground for 2 to the Ratcatchers. And then I've got enough influence to hack back Frilsey over to Piper and use the Harrier on those guys to death from above Piper for a nice cool 8 damage. So that was very nice. I use the death of Skulk to heal Minerva. I forgot to mention Miasma had Rataclysmed her, so she is diseased and took some damage, so I've healed her damage. And that's why these guys are carefully placed to avoid the disease spreading. We go to turn 2. I play the offside trap, and my opponent plays go for the knees, putting the attack bonus on Pelage. I was up 9 momentum to my opponent's 1, so I was pretty happy. I decided I'd take this this +1 influence right now. I stack Minerva, I stack Davana, I had a couple on Matagi and Rundas, and 3 on Icarus. And I saw the opportunity to be a super dickhead here. So I mentioned Minerva had been diseased. I very deliberately left her with the disease. because of what I wanted to do here. So she walked up to engage Piper and Scourge and be out of their melees. Hit Piper for an I Spy, hit Piper for a knockdown, and hit him for a Harrier. And then ever so innocently spread disease to Squeak, Frelsey, and Piper, making it very difficult for him to clear conditions or heal himself. And with that Harrier on him, it's a death sentence if Divana, or rather if he doesn't use him before Divana activates, which protects the ball. So not wanting to lose his Piper activation, Ricky goes, he uses Piper's movement to stand up, and he'd only been given 2 influence, so he used Haunting Melody on Matagi, and I had to choose whether or not to go towards him or him towards me. For some reason it took me a bit of thinking as to which one I wanted, and I'm happy to report I chose the correct decision. And rather than walking the fragile Matagi into the bunch of crowd outs and Pelage's death aura, we very happily make Piper jog along past Frelsey, taking a passing blow, and she snares him, up to Matagi, who he attacks and does 1 damage to, and then attacks again and misses, thus generating no momentum with which to heal himself. But he does make Matagi disease. So before someone can steal the ball off me, like those mean old cogs did in our previous game, I go with Icarus. He uses his flying ability and then a sprint to get over to here, and happily bonus times the shot, scores, making the score 6-4 to the Falcons, and the ball gets kicked out over here. Not quite within range for Miasma to snap it. The Rats still don't have any momentum, I don't think, so Rundas goes, he Shadow Likes over here, walks over to Piper, and beats him savagely, wrapping with a bonus time. Actually, I must have rolled Hot Fire here, because I got the basically 4 damage and Harrier, plonking it out over here, and then hit him with enough damage to kill him on the second attack, making the score 8-4 to the Falconers. Squeak moves up and does some nasty squeaking at Minerva, frightening her towards Scourge. And Pelage also moves up and starts beating on her, causing all kinds of nasty Pelage tests. So I think I snare Minerva and take 3 damage on Frelsey. I think Minerva's left on like 4 wounds or something. And my big fear here is that Scourge is going to be able to kill Minerva and Frelsey at once. Frelsey flutters over to Scourge into base with both of them, basically, trying to make it more difficult for him to leave the Harrier auras and reduce some dice on his attacks. Miasma collects the ball, gives it to Skulk, and I'd like Matagi to be over here so that if the Rats do score a goal, then I can kick it out and then just go immediately score again. But I can't get the angle as I want to hot shot Skulk. So I can't put him over here I want him, so I just run him around the edge and just set up a ball lane this way. Hotshot Skulk, get the 2 damage Harrier, which actually goes to 3 damage Harrier because he's already in a Harrier, and bleed. Scourge then goes and kills a Minerva with a snack break or whatever it's called, making the score 8-7 to the Falconers. And happily the way things worked out, he wasn't able to attack Frelsey. And crucially, and I think a big mistake was that he didn't move Scourge out from these Harriers. Actually not sure that would have saved him still, but it certainly would have made what happened next harder. Divana walks up to Pelage and uses her legendary, the Daughter of Falcons, to throw birds everywhere, snaring and doing 3 damage to both Pelage and Scourge. We are remembering Scourge's tough hide, just account for damage as appropriate. 3 damage instead makes quite a big difference to Pelage, who takes 2 normal punches from Divana, which result in wraps, obviously because my dice are rolling hot fire throughout this game, and I'm bonus timing. So annoying that you don't generate momentum from hitting Pelage. But yeah, so I kill her with 2 influence, making the score 10-7 to the Falconers. And I've got 3 influence left and 3 Harriers on Scourge. So my first attack is a death from above with Frelsey assisting and a bonus time. I roll 12 dice. I make 12 successes. I select 13 damage from the double wrap, which goes down to 10 because of tough hide. I do death from above again. Only 9 damage this time, but it's enough to take out Scourge. sealing the win for the Falconers, 12-7. Oh yeah, so pretty happy with how that went. Felt quite in control of that, even if I hadn't been able to kill Scourge. We measured it out, and Skulk wasn't in range to get a goal. I'm fairly confident Icarus could have gotten away from Miasma and tackled Scourge and then kicked the ball back into my hands. And it was very likely I would be going or being able to choose the initiative next turn, as I had more momentum and both sevens in fact. I feel the Rats probably took the first turn goal too early and didn't respect the Harriers enough and did a bit of too much bunching. But to be fair, I didn't know that Divana was going to do that much damage. That was a crazy amount of damage she did this game. I just quickly calculated it. She did an average of 8 damage per attack this game. Hot damn, she is brutal with setup. I also really liked the Frailty kick. It just gets it across the line. It's all it needs to do, and then being able to move in, use the influence instead of sprinting Frailty to actually get a snared out, and then having her up in the midfield to then be able to hack back to other targets. Gives Divana a lot to play with in her activation. I really liked it. Hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.